Welcome back and thanks for joining us. Now, June is Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month. Right now, more than 60,000 people in San Diego and Imperial counties are living with Alzheimer's disease, and more than 160,000 families and friends are providing care. Here to talk about more about how this is really impacting San Diegans is David Crean. He's with the Alzheimer's Association and the San Diego Imperial Chapter board member, longtime volunteer, leader, long distance care provider as well. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Of course. I do want to dive right into some of the warning signs, how to help family members realize that this is something that's going to impact their life.
Yeah, so if you think about it, you have this degeneration of these neurons, these brain cells, and first to be impacted is memory, it's language, it's thinking. So if you start thinking about, those early warning signs, it's confusion, it's not remembering things, having difficulty remembering names and faces and places to go when you're driving. So there's we give a presentation to the community. We call it the 10 early signs of Alzheimer's and dementia, and I would encourage you to attend those events.
It's really important. I mean, it must be a hard conversation to have when you're talking about these cognitive signs.
It is a very difficult conversation, but it's a conversation that is needed, whether it's with family, loved ones, caretakers, having that conversation with the patient and their neurologist or their general physician. It's an absolutely necessary conversation to have.
So this is a really special month for you guys. Share with us how the Alzheimer's Association is involved here in San Diego.
Yeah, so one, wear purple.
Wear purple?
Join me in wearing purple to get out, awareness for Alzheimer's and dementia. June is Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month, so thank you for bringing that up. But, the Alzheimer's Association does a number of things, whether it's care and support, research, advocacy up in Sacramento as well as in Washington, and just bring overall a greater awareness to Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia.
And it seems like there really is a sense of community. You said you were personally impacted. My family as well. My grandmother passed away from Alzheimer's. So that must be such an important part of bringing people together to understand how to live with a disease like this.
It is. So I do a lot on sort of that care and support and being a long distance caretaker, as you mentioned in your preliminary comments. It's incredibly important. It's important to tell my story, so I'm inspiring others to tell their story. I'm encouraging them to get that out there, and it's very difficult. My father lives in New York. Obviously here, 2,500 miles, it makes it very, very difficult to provide the level of care and support that he needs back in Western New York.
And tell us here in San Diego, how can we find you? What can we do to get involved? Because especially during this month, this is a reminder, but we need to know all year round. Yeah,
so go to the website, alz.org, or you can call a 24/7 line, which is 1-800-272-3900, and just get involved, right? Get involved and volunteer and give back to the community.
Is there any type of fundraisers that people can get involved in throughout the year?
Yeah, especially in the month of June. There's a number of fun events that are going on. I'm actually participating in a golf tournament.
There you go.
On the longest day of the year, which is when the sun is out the most, which is a perfect day for that. But a number of people are doing like spin cycle classes, yoga classes. There's a number of different ways of getting involved to raise funds, raise awareness for the organization.
Now, I know there's been so many studies, even articles about how to prevent a disease like this from happening. Do you talk about that? Talk about those early warning signs, but also how to make sure that maybe if you have those, to protect yourself against them? Yeah,
we have a very, I would say, comprehensive curriculum, whether it's warning signs, ways of preventing. What if I am diagnosed? What do I do? Looking at also at early, detection, which is an important component to not only the therapy, but also to identifying, hey, do I have Alzheimer's? Do I have some of the early warning stages? Because, typically what we're seeing in the research is 20 years prior to actually having those symptoms, you can actually be developing that.
And tell us, what are some of the things that we can do to prevent that?
Health, certainly nutrition. Those are the big ones, and being active. Okay. Those are sort of some of the three things that we talk about. I'm one of the community educators, but we talk about nutrition, health, being active, and even things like, crossword puzzles, and you gotta challenge your brain a little bit.
Keeping that brain active, that's something
Absolutely.
that I've really read about, is doing a Sudoku puzzle or those crosswords or having conversations every single morning, waking your brain up. There seems to be so much scientific, research behind this disease. Hopefully, at some point finding a cure, because it really does impact so many people. Tell us again, how many people in San Diego are dealing with this disease, and how many people are providing care for that?
Yeah, so 60,000 approximately in the San Diego region are impacted or have the disease, and nearly 3x of that number,
Wow.
threefold difference in terms of the caregivers, family, loved ones, so about 160,000. So it's a pretty significant number of people who are impacted directly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Speaking with us about the Alzheimer's Association here in San Diego, Imperial County. June is Alzheimer's Awareness Month, but you know what? Of course, this is something that impacts us all year long. Again, before we go, tell us where we can find a little bit more information.
alz.org, or call up the 800 number, 1-800-272-3900.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
All right.